Hey, John from Mighty here, and in this video, I'm excited to show you guys how you can create a time-based gating lesson within your Articulate Rise course. It's actually super simple to do utilizing our interactive HTML block. There's just a zip file, and you'll find all of this code available to you on our Maestro community. There will be a link in the description, so just go ahead and click on that after you watch this full video on how to implement it. There's just the zip file. You'll download that. You'll upload it to your interactive HTML block, add a line of JavaScript, and you're done. Now you've got time-based gating within Rise. Let's go check it out and see how that's done. All right, so I'm going to leverage this online security fundamentals course that I just pulled right off of Rise templates. And again, use cases that I've got maybe an accreditation or a federal requirement or some sort of internal organizational requirement on my learner needing to go through so many hours of training. And most of the time when we hear this, we think, okay, well, I've got to go to Storyline because Storyline really is the only thing that can do this type of gating functionality that is time-based. But as I'd mentioned, it's actually super easy to use the Mighty Chrome extension and our interactive HTML block and be able to just add time-based gating right into your course. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to our Maestro community. And over here on this side, we've got a code catalog in which you're going to see this time-based gating lesson and all of the code and functionality that you're going to need in here. So I'll add this YouTube video to this card once I'm done. But basically, your steps are to download this zip file. We're going to turn off some of the borders and autocomplete functionality that's on the interactive HTML block. We've got to make sure we've got a continue button in our course, and then we'll just add a little bit of JavaScript in order to activate the timer, and you're done. So here's an image of what that will ultimately look like. But looking at our actual course here, let's jump into this lesson that we want to add gating for. So I'm going to add it here to this what is cybersecurity. I want to make sure that when somebody goes through this course, it takes them roughly 2 minutes in order for them to get through this course. So there's, as you see, a lot of different interactions that they can complete, including knowledge checks. Should take them that long. But what we're going to do, and I'm going to kind of start over from scratch here, is I'm going to add in our interactive HTML block. That's going to put that right here above my continue button. I'm going to go ahead and drop in that zip file that I had mentioned. You just download that from our Maestro community. Again, link is in the description. And we're going to turn off the border, and we're going to turn off autocomplete, because we need to make sure that the timing that happens in the HTML is going to fire off an event that actually completes this part of the lesson, allowing us to move on. Then I had mentioned as well, we need to create a continue button. So I've got this continue button here. You'll want to just make sure that it's got some sort of completion type, either directly above, if you've put the interactive directly above it, or if you wanted to make sure that they completed other interactions inside of your lesson as well, you could certainly just say complete all blocks above. And once we've got that done, we just need to get the block ID in order to run some JavaScript. Because again, over here, looking at this code, we need to run this init timer. And what we'll do is we'll put that inside of this JavaScript section right here. I'm going to go ahead and move me over on that side. We'll paste that in. But we really need to replace this with our actual continue button's block ID. Now, the way that you get that is if you jump into our power-up section, go to custom code. This is going to load up your course. We're going to jump into the lesson that we want to add this gating for. And you'll notice as I highlight over these different blocks, there's this block ID that exists. And all the way down here, and I'm going to move me back over there, we've got to grab this block ID. And specifically, it's this part of that block ID. So you can either copy the whole thing or just copy that part of the text. We can go ahead and leave out of the power up, go back into our interactive code. I'll fly back on the other side and update this JavaScript to utilize that continue button's block ID. I also threw out the idea of it being 2 minutes for this lesson. We could do 30 seconds, 2 minutes, kind of whatever you want to do. Maybe for right now, let me just keep it at 30 seconds so you don't have to sit there and wait for the video countdown to go down. And then you can certainly update that to 2 minutes. So let's just show this off so you can see how it works. And then I'll dive a little bit into the code in case if you want to customize anything. So first step to test this, you may think, oh, I'll just go to preview and preview the course and see how this works. Now the problem is that with preview, it can't actually function like we would want if it was published out to our LMS or on the web or even to Review 360, because the interactive HTMLs while authoring are kind of added into the course in a different way, which from a security perspective isn't going to allow this interactive HTML block to modify anything with this continue button. So you're not going to be able to preview this and actually see it work. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to just publish this course to review. So if I'm going to go back out to the main cover page, we're going to jump into my review item. And in fact, I've already published this review, so we can jump over that real quick. All right, so here is our review item. It's published. Let me jump into this lesson. We're going to scroll past all of this interactivity that happens and jump right into the recap. And right here, you can see I have a locked continue button, and it's got a really fun countdown happening that basically just lets the learner know they can't move on until so many seconds. Again, you could do 2 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever your restrictions are. And from there, you can safely just say, okay, my lesson is going to, take up so much time, cumulatively across all of my lessons, that adds up to X number of minutes or hours to ensure that the learner can't move on past that until this is done. Now you'll notice that the block unlocked, or the continue button unlocked, even though I didn't do any of these items above. And that's just a reminder that the way the continue button works, especially when you do these gating rules of complete directly or complete all above, is you have to think about them as like sections of content. So as you'll notice, I'm going to even refresh this page here, that there were multiple continue buttons that kind of encapsulated each little part of this lesson. So we've got some interactivity here, followed by a continue button. All of that has nothing to do with the final continue button. So these aren't gated, therefore our final continue button isn't going to be gated. And you'll notice that I had said 30 seconds, and the 30-second timer doesn't start until that interactive HTML block is loaded. So you're gonna maybe need to get a little bit creative on having potentially multiples of these in your lesson if you wanna gate multiple sections in your lesson, or maybe you'd put the interactive up top and modify some logic that goes and finds the continue button in order for that to load after the fact. So all sorts of fun ways that you can customize this, and depending on how you've got your content structured, you may need to place your interactive in different locations or add or remove different continue buttons. So that's just a little bit of like a precursor in case if you run into any issues there. So as promised, I want to show a little bit of the code just so you can also see what's going on under the hood and if there's any modifications that you want to make to the messaging or the way that some of the text is displayed. So let's jump into the code real quick. All right, so if you take this gating.zip file that you downloaded and you unzip it, you'll notice there's really just a single file, this index.html file. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this up into a code editing app called Cursor, but it doesn't really matter, text editor. If you wanna get into modifying this, I would recommend like a VS Code or Cursor, which allows you to utilize some like AI functionality, even for free, in order to make some modifications if you're not a developer. So just walking through this code, you'll see super short. There's 47 lines total, and that includes some other HTML nonsense. But really all it's doing is this special init timer function. You pass in your number of seconds, you pass in your continue block ID, This will just go and find that block ID. And again, if you want to place this in different spots, you may have to modify this so it's like searching for it potentially over a period of time until it eventually finds it. But once it finds that continue button, all it's going to do is it's going to grab the original text and then update that based on every second. If you haven't completed everything that you need to complete or you haven't hit that time interval, it's just going to update the message that says you may continue forward in X number of seconds. So if you wanted to do 2 minutes as an example, and you want to make that superhuman readable, you could actually pull in a library that would convert your number of seconds. Like let's say you did 120 seconds, AKA 2 minutes, and you wanted it to say you can move forward in 2 minutes and then 1 minute, 59 seconds, and kind of like have it go through that process. You could certainly update all this logic to do that. Right now, it would just count down from seconds, which may or may not be super user-friendly. But once we hit the final number of seconds, it's just going to emit out a message saying, hey, this interactive is completed. Therefore, completing this block, therefore completing and opening up your continue button. So super simple, very easy to implement. Again, you just really drop in that zip file that's located here, and then turn off a couple of features, grab your block ID, drop in this JavaScript, and kind of match up what this image has here, and you're good to go. So as you see, super simple way for you to be able to just add gating into your Rise lesson, just utilizing the Mighty Chrome extension with the interactive HTML block. Very small amount of code that you need to handle and very easy to implement steps. Again, all of this code is going to be found in our Maestro community. It's free to join. You may click the link and it's got a little bit of like a login / sign up page. Just go ahead and sign up. You'll see a lot of fun things in our code catalog and great dialogue that we're having as well in the Mighty user space. So look forward to seeing you with the next hack that we can do.